Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of
Another Black Podcast.
I am your host Joel Armstead.
And I'm your host, Tasha Armstead.
And we are the Armsteads.
And that's our dog Langston.
Yes, because he's complaining.
In the background.
Yeah. So, babe, how was your week? It's been 2 weeks because we had some technical difficulties. But how was your week?
My week was amazing, to say the least. I quit my job, y'all. I quit my job, y'all. I know y'all like, what?
Yeah.
She's crazy. They're crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I finally, after four.
Yeah.
I was four, about to go into 5.
No, you were going into your 4th year.
I was going into my 4th year. After 4 long years with the county of Los Angeles at the DPSS office, I could finally say I got off the plantation and I am free at last. Free at last. Happy National Women's Day.
Isn't it Women's Month?
Yes.
It's Women's Month, right?
Yes.
Or is it? Yeah, it is Women's Month.
Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last.
Yeah, that was like...
What in the best Women's Month
present you could ever have, being able to be free from your
9 to 5.
Your 9 to 5. But so you left that, and then to do what though? Like, walk us through the process.
So I had been applying for writers support positions for a very long time, at least a year, going on a year and a half. So I was looking for a position like as a writer's assistant or writer's PA or executive assistants, positions where I could transition from my 9 to 5 and be like fully, working in the industry. And It just seemed like trying to come from a place of like not having professional experience, like working on a TV show already on your resume. This process was very daunting because it made me feel like at times that it wasn't going to happen for me.
Right.
Because I didn't have the experience that I knew some of my colleagues had that were getting these jobs. So over the past year and a half, it was a lot. I talked so much about spirituality and self-work and self-awareness because I had to go on that journey to weather the storm of disappointment and rejection and all those things. Trying to push forward for something that you believe in, but you kind of think you're crazy a little bit because it's no signs of refuge or that this is going to happen for you. But just the belief in your higher self and God, just knowing that eventually you're going to get there. So I'm happy to say that, I landed a showrunner's assistant job for a new...
You don't have to say the
I'm
name.
not going to... No, okay. I was just going to say for a new show.
Okay.
So when it's time, I will be able to review what that show is.
Right.
But I'm very excited. It's for, a streaming network, very reputable. Their shows are really good. We watch a lot of them.
So when do you start?
I start on Monday,
which is
tomorrow.
Yes.
So I had to quit. It was crazy too because how it came through a friend. It was a referral through a friend. And the wildest thing was we were going through it this week. I'll toss that over to Joel in a second, but I'm gonna just say it was not easy for either one of us to really keep the faith in this season. Because when you're walking out on faith, when you're walking on water, per se, where you have no idea what is going to happen, what you're doing, all you know is that you're walking on faith, you're walking with God, and you're just trusting that God will have you in this season. And although I was telling Joe we weren't very fearful in this season, it was just a little worrisome in terms of how things were gonna happen once stuff started.
Which is part of the process.
Stuff started changing.
It's part of the process because this is our first time in this territory. But
so it was crazy. But I got referred to the job on one day. I applied for it on Monday, and then the next day it was like the process just happened one after another. I got the interview. I went to the interview. I just did my absolute best. I gave my all, and I walked away feeling so good and feeling so full. And I was like, I've been working on myself in terms of like negative self-talk and all that stuff, like not saying like I'm like I got the victory and I've already got it and I've won it and it's mine, and I'm just I'm claiming it or whatever. So I try not to say stuff like this, but I did say like win or lose, because I believe
you did your best.
Yeah, I believe like if stuff just isn't for you, it's nothing like it's no matter of wanting it that's gonna force it to happen for you. Right, it just wasn't for you. It wasn't your time. That just wasn't the right job for you. So I was like, win or lose, I did my absolute best. I walked away feeling so good about it, and then I went back to work and I was just feeling like so bad. Because we did a great Black History Month committee a program at my job, which I do every year.
Right.
And I was just about to have to get back on these phones and listen to people's problems all over again. Saved by the bell. And I was like, yo, I can't do this anymore. But I got on there. I was on my second call. And that's when I got the phone call. Like, I had got the job. And then I thought about it. And I was like, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start Monday. And I was like, I'm out. And I went and gave my resignation letter. And that was a whole nother process. We'll probably talk later on in the show. But just that whole moment was like I was floating. Yeah. It was like the most rewarding moment I've ever experienced in my life to like hug my director at my job, and she just be like, "I saw you grow. I've seen you build. Like, I know that your gifts are more than what this place can give you. Right. So I'm just, although I'm sad to see you go, I'm so happy to see you go." Yeah. And I was like, man, this is great.
It's crazy because to hear that you had got that job was such a relief because the past week, so everybody knows rent is due on the 1st, the 1st of the month. And so since I quit my job, I had just been like Ubering and hustling and working 24/7, just trying to pay bills and pay for stuff and have food and just survive. It was survival mode. We were locked in, or I was locked into survival mode. And so I had got like my last check from my job. What was it, on the 28th, I think, of February? So we got it on the 28th. And it was like, it was not what I expected it to be. And so I'm like, well, dang, like I thought that I had at least a little bit more. I thought I was going to get a little bit more than I got, but that's not what happened. So I'm driving, and it's like, regardless of me putting in all this work, it's still not adding up to be enough because of the amount of time that I had to do it. Because technically it was like, when we got paid on the 28th, it was like the next day rent was due. So then I had to like hustle and drive all week long to try to make up the difference. But we were late. We were going to be late regardless. And so then we ended up being late. And then it was this whole back and forth for me and our landlord. And it was just like, he ended up giving us the time to be able to pay.
We still had to pay a late fee.
Yeah, we had to pay a late fee. But we had to pay late because I had to make a judgment call, because if I could have paid the rent on time, but if I did, then we wouldn't have been able to pay our car insurance. And that, to me, is like, I needed to pay the car insurance because that's also part of our livelihood. And so that was the logic I was using. Like, you know what? If I got to take this L for this late fee, fine. But it's not like we don't have none of the money to pay the rent. Like, we paid, 90% of the money. It was just that we didn't have the other $100, really $150 to be done with it, because I had to use the $150 to pay the insurance. So then Tasha's like, hey, look at this, guess what happened? So I'm like, oh great, thank God, like it's some relief. She got her job, and it's like here's the crazy part about it. You gotta get down to the nitty gritty. She's gonna be making enough to where the fact that I'm not necessarily at mine, it doesn't even matter. So it's like, because I was looking at it like, well, I at least gotta hold up my end of the bargain, and I gotta do what I gotta do. But like, let's just say for conversation's sake, if I just say, you know what, I'm not gonna work. I'm gonna focus totally on acting and writing. I could do that because of the fact that she was blessed with the job, and it was crazy because I was feeling so low. I was like, dang, like I was really regretting leaving. I was like, dang, like did I play myself? Did I make a mistake? Did I do it too soon? You know, was it really the right time to do it? Like, you know, all those feelings come into your head because you're doubting yourself because you did something that you're not accustomed to doing, and then as soon as things get hard, you're not sure you know what to do. Like you're ready to run back into your into bondage. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, for God to show up like that was such a blessing because it let us know, like, no, you're not crazy. You did do the right thing. Because I feel like me leaving set off a chain reaction.
Man,
in the spiritual realm. You know, like I was just talking to Tasha earlier, and I was saying, like, sometimes, you know, God will have you out here looking crazy. And I was like, I had admitted to her that I had felt a little embarrassed. I was like, you know, you left, but you left like with something, like you have something. Like me, I just straight up just took a leap of faith. Like I didn't have nothing. It wasn't like I was leaving because I booked the role, or I was leaving because I sold a script, or I got a job, a better job. I'm just like, you know what? I'm out here, God. I'm going to trust in you, and I know you got me. Mm-hmm. But when it's time to give praise reports and say, hey, when we're talking to a lot of our friends and Tasha's giving her news, part of me was just like a little teensy like embarrassed. I was like, dang, like here I am, like I'm not working, and I get it. I know why I left, but it was just a tiny bit of insecurity where you feel like maybe people are judging you, even though it wasn't like nobody was projecting that. It was my own mind projecting that because I was just doubting, you know, the decision I had made because of what we were just going through, like with bills and stuff. And also being a man and being the quote unquote head of your household, you feel the pressure to always be able to make magic in those moments. And that's the thing about surrendering too. Like when you surrender to God, it's like God doesn't care that you're the head of the household. It's just like, all right, so this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. And it doesn't matter how you look. As long as you're acting in my name, you know, and you're listening to me, everything is going to work out. And a lot of times the hard part about that for men is that because I have to surrender my pride too. And along with my pride is like sometimes we attach our manhood and our pride together. And so along with me surrendering, I'm like, man, but I feel like I'm not in control and I'm not providing for my family and I'm not the big shot or the head honcho. And then but then at the same time, how can you want to be blessed if you're not fully really open to listening? And so I had to kind of come to terms with that.
Also being able to shift places in terms of roles of support for your spouse. Because to be honest with you, just even with like this happening for me, I had to sit back and for the first time, you know, after all this self-work and going through all this rejections, constantly working on myself, I was able to receive something and not have imposter syndrome as though I didn't deserve to have it. Like it set in, it took a minute for it to set in, and when it set in, I was like, damn, yes, like I did that. Like because you know, God made it happen, but I did the work to get there, and I deserve this win.
Yes,
like
definitely.
It ain't nobody's business, and everybody, all my friends, everybody that's been around to witness and see me struggle and see me sacrifice myself, like saw me sacrifice. You know, sometimes it feels like when you're going through a struggle and you're having to sacrifice so much stuff, like as a woman, as a man, you feel like you sacrificing your womanhood and your manhood. Like it's not easy not to go and buy clothes for yourself and only purchase what you absolutely need for your kids, but like you did it for them and nothing more.
Just your essentials.
It's not easy to go to the grocery store and only get $60 worth of food because that's either all you got or that's all you can spend. It's not easy to go like a whole year or so. No hairdo, no nails, no none of that, because you like, hey, I'm focused on I may not have all these things, and then you got to suck it up when it's time to go somewhere.
Right,
dress real nice,
right.
and that's when you're reminded, like, damn, I really ain't got no clothes. Like, I really don't have this, or I don't have
No
that.
gear. Your
No
gear is
gear.
trash.
I'm like
Yeah.
starting from scratch, but the idea of like focusing on the fact that like God has me, and that like if I can just adhere to my process even more and focus just on that, I'm going to will myself and work myself to the point where I'm able to see a result from this work that I'm putting in. I'm able to see fruit bear, and eventually all this stuff ain't gonna matter. It already doesn't matter.
No,
material
yeah.
stuff and all that
Right.
stuff. This beauty stuff, vain stuff. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. But it does make you feel good. Self-care is very important.
It's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself and also liking nice things. Like, it's nothing wrong with that.
You deserve those things too.
'cause,
So,
like,
but if sometimes
yeah.
there's season where you can't really partake in those things, or you're choosing not to partake in those things for the sake of something else. So when you start choosing to live different and you start choosing to have more, it makes it even more. It makes it more sweet when you know you've worked hard for whatever it is for that to even be a possibility.
Now, I want to segue into what we actually were going to talk about today. Today we were going to talk about balance, and we got that topic from this past week, and how, Tasha had to remind me, like, Joel, like, you left your job to pursue your dreams as an actor, right? But all you've been doing is driving. Like, it's like you just swap one job for the next. And, because I was worried and I wasn't, like, looking at it like that, I was just driving because I was like, well, I'm just trying to pay rent and make sure rent is out the way with it, and then I can get back to it. It's like I wasn't doing a good job balancing things, and it was, I was burnt out. Like, I was tired. Like, I was putting in a lot of hours just to try to make up for the difference of what I thought I was going to get. And I had to learn, like, you even though we have to pay our bills and we have to survive, you still have to, Tasha was reminding me, like, you still have to, like, remember what you wrote down. Like, and I wrote down, like, I left my job to pursue my dreams as an actor, so therefore, like, I have to do that. I have to make little deposits every day in that little coin jar, or else it would, like, it's like for naught. It makes no sense. I could just reevaluate, just working a normal job. You know what I'm saying? And I think you were suffering from some balance issues this week also.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I was definitely suffering from some balance issues. And what was happening with me was, like, there were things I was trying to accomplish around the house, meaning, like, I had been wanting to purge the house. I had wanted to get some stuff clean and finally be done. This is, like, boxes that have been stacked up in our house for, like, months, things that have been needing to be dealt with, and I wasn't in a place to deal with them because I was unhappy at my job. I was coming home tired every day. I had other important stuff to do, barely able to do all of those things and keep a good balance, and so everything was just kind of like out of whack. But I'll say, like, for the past 2 weeks, we were making, like, little strides on the weekend to try to, like, better our situation at home. But it just felt like I'm not at home enough. I don't have enough time to get things done. And this is just the look of this is starting to really get to me. And so from Friday to Sunday, I was like, all right, so I think what's really bothering you is, like, you need to clean. So, like, I kept feeling on my spirit, like, you need to just purge your house. So I started purging, started getting rid of clothes, started, like, cleaning up everything. Joel and the kids, like, we all worked together and we were doing that. And then there were times throughout the weekend where you had to leave and go. And then it was, like, limited resources here. Like, food was limited because, like, we were, like, trying to pay every little bit that we had towards rent. It was just a rough time. And then Joel was like, I guess because all he could focus on was, like, the driving and the money and how much we had and didn't have and what all we had to pay for, that he didn't realize that, yes, we need to be on the same page, and yes, I need to know the same things that you need to know, like, in terms of financial strategy and the things that we're working towards. But what was happening is his stressful energy was then starting to get on me, and then it was, like, starting to be hard to actually, like, navigate through the days. And so now I'm being stressed out towards him, and it was just I was saying, like, it just wasn't good for us. So I just felt like, in that moment, you know, I had to make a decision. Like, I was like, I remember him leaving to go drive, and the kids and I were here, was barely anything to eat. And I was just like, yo, I can't do this anymore. Right. I was like, I am super unhappy. I thought it was the house that needed to be clean. Mm-hmm. I thought that was like even though I was doing something that wasn't like a restful act, it was still like, I thought I was going to have rest in the fact that things were done. That's just kind of like how I work. When I'm able to accomplish things, I feel rest from it. Right. But nothing was giving me refuge. I was like now even more worried than I was before. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, like, what is this? And I remember like calling out the next day sick because I didn't want to go back to work. And then we ended up driving together. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, I have this habit sometimes of like trying to like fix things and trying to like help everybody before I help myself. And so I've worked on it, but I haven't obviously mastered that. I'm still a work in progress. Right. And so as we were in the car, we were talking about the podcast and what are things we could do to improve the podcast. And then I was talking to him about, okay, like what were some things that he wanted to do, like acting wise, like, you know, do little things for what you want to do. And it was like, because he was so focused on the driving and he was frustrated with that, like his response to me in our dialogue was just like real shaky. And I was like trying to feel a sort of way. And I was just like, okay. And I just felt like, why are you sitting here trying to, it's okay to support your husband. It's okay to like be there to like be a sounding board to bounce ideas off, but let him come to you and ask you these things in this season right now, because you, Tasha, need to actually focus on yourself, and you need to actually get yourself together because you have goals too, and there are things that you want to do as well. And so what that did for me, it was like, okay, let's go on focus on Tasha mode. And so then the next day I go to my job, I start clearing out my desk, and then as I'm clearing out my desk, like I felt this spirit just be like, pack your whole desk up, like leave just one box in case you get a phone call, but pack your whole desk up. And I was like, all right. And I packed my whole desk up. I bleached it down. It was like, if you walk past my desk, you probably was like, what's going on over here? Like, what's she doing? You know, she moving desk or something like that. And I think a couple of people did say, like, when I left, like, they was thinking something was going on because, like, I had this cleaned house. Like, I was just taking stuff home little bit by little bit, like. And so
that's bad.
Yeah.
No, because I'm just thinking about, I'll say it later.
And so then, like, I felt like this inkling to, like, go home. And so I ended up going home, like, to my mom's house, which is technically, because our relationship has not always been the best, that's not somewhere where I would tell myself to go home. So that's how I know it was God.
The house of pain.
Lord Jesus. And so I go to my mom's house, and I literally have one of the most best times I've had with my mom. And I can't remember the last time we had such a good time. Like, she treated us to tacos. We laughed, we joked, we sang together. Like, we literally spent the whole day together. I went to the house. I sat there, and I realized that when I was at the house, at our house, in this house, I was feeling so sad and alone and depressed and just like overwhelmed with worry of like, how are we going to make it? I'm trying to support my husband, but how are we going to make it? And being there allowed me a moment, also in conjunction with the fact that I knew I had this job coming up, the interview and stuff. It just got my mind somewhere else and off of like the worries. And I believe that break that I gave myself permission to have was probably why my interview went so well, because I wasn't stressed out in a constant state of stress.
Well, and we also did do like a mock
and we went
interview.
Over stuff. Yeah, like
I'm a nigga that had plenty of jobs.
Yes.
So I already know.
So I'm like give me the questions.
And I hit you right too. So tell me about yourself.
It was all the right questions.
That's all they go. That's the funny thing about interviews. That's all they want to know is, who are you? Yeah. Like, if they got you in an interview, they want to hire you. They just want to know, is your vibe in line with our vibe? Because if it is, you're hired. Because if you weren't qualified, they wouldn't have asked you to come in for an interview.
And I remember hyping myself up like, I'm just going to be on. Like, I'm just going to be on. I'm just going to do me. Like, I already got the job. Like, they just got to tell you, like, I got this. Like, I've never talked myself up in such a positive way ever before in my life. But it paid off.
Because I'm the opposite. Like, I feel like I'm the guy that swears he killed every interview. As soon as I come out, So
I got it in the bag.
I got that. We getting ready to go and pay this. We about to pay that. We about to go buy this. We about to go buy that. And then
crickets.
A week go by. Well, you know what? Maybe they still interview. Another week go by. Well, you know what? See, here's why I didn't want to work there.
In the first place.
First of all, I didn't like how when I came in there, the way it smelled, the air wasn't all together.
She looked at me crazy.
I didn't like the receptionist. It seemed like they probably don't get 2 15s and a 30. It seemed like they make you
just gonna keep finding stuff.
Yeah, so I was just that's how I am when it comes to jobs, because I get too attached real fast, because I swear I just am the shit and I just be killing these interviews. But I got you. I did enough. I have enough experience for you to help you.
Keep that same energy, brother. Keep that same energy.
Yeah,
you're going to need it when you're going in these rooms, man.
I was laughing. So earlier I was laughing because you were talking about how you bleached down your whole desk. Yo, your boy is trifling. I literally grabbed my essentials, put them in a bag, and walked out. I did not do all that sanitizing and wiping.
But down. I didn't know I had any job at that time. So
I didn't know I had any job.
No. You walked out after you basically had already kind of quit and stuff.
But I'm saying,
at this time, I'm clearing my desk, and I'm not even knowing that, like, literally in a day's time, I was going to get another job. Like, that's what's so miraculous about the process for me, is like, I'm being spiritually led to do things that I don't understand why I'm doing them. Right. And then when I do them, it's like a little seed to something else. Like, I didn't know going home to my mom was going to make me feel good.
Yeah.
But I just listened and did it because it was a break for me, and it was some healing that was taking place between her and my relationship. Yeah. So I would have never assumed that. I would have never experienced it had I not said, okay, Joe, I need to take a break and go over there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's real.
So I think that ties into, like, us having balance and keeping... Because I feel like you never have balance. It's always going to be... You're just doing just enough to kind of keep things afloat, but you can be in a state of flow. So
no, when I said, but see, I'm talking about, like, when you're focusing too much of your efforts into one thing and you're off balance. Like even like how they say, like, your chakras are not aligned or whatever. It's just about balance. Like, in that situation, I was unbalanced because all I was concerned with was paying the rent, but my energy was also making you stressed out, which made you feel like you needed to go somewhere else just to kind of recharge. Be okay. So, and then also in the same breath, you were so off balance at work that you were ready to give up. And it was like, in the nick of time, God was like, here, Tasha, calm down. Here's this job interview. And then you got yourself together because you had already been preparing to leave in the first place. And you got it. Everything worked out. So it's about, in life, I think sometimes we tell ourselves, like, we need to do all these things and we need to get all this stuff done. But I think overall, like, the key to a quality life is balance. It's not putting all your efforts and focus into one thing and solely that and not really coming up for air. It's putting your efforts into one thing consistently, yes, but balancing everything else around you, because at the end of the day, you're not, unless you are by yourself, you live by yourself, you have no family, you have no kids, you don't care, fine. But then something else is going to fall to the wayside. So really, balance is the theme. The theme of balance is really more so to just keep things in order.
What's one thing that you're gonna try to incorporate next week that you feel like maybe you weren't able to last week, or maybe this whole time? I don't know, that because you're just coming into that, like you're coming into that understanding about yourself that you can, like, make
as I've been trying to adjust to my new normal as not getting up and going straight to work. I've been finding it difficult to what to do with myself. You know what I'm saying? And so I think for me, the smartest thing for me to do is to create this schedule that I actually see myself doing, and do, like, baby steps, ease into it, and it's so that I can be consistent, because that's something that I'll start all this stuff and then I'll fall off, and I don't want to live like that no more. And so what I would say is that I want to practice just getting up at 5 again. It used to be a time in my life where I could just bounce up at 5 like it's nothing, and I would go to the gym and I would work out, and wouldn't even be a thing. But lately, I've struggled. Just like when I hear my alarm clock, I'm like, yo, like, no, I'm not getting up. And so what I'm trying to do now is just get up at 5 and pray and kind of like basically like take charge of my day instead of like letting my day take charge of me. Like that's what I was coming out of. Having that job, we would wake up late. We was like unmotivated. The kids was unmotivated. Didn't nobody know where nothing was. We couldn't get out the door on time. We was late all the time. And we was kind of just letting life happen to us. Whereas now we have the opportunity to we can like take life by storm. We can attack our day with all this fury and just win.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, you know, I'm going to just wake up early again, practice waking up early again, and spend that time alone with God, and also like meditate on like how I see myself a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. And you know, they say visualization is one of the most powerful tools to for you to get to your goals. So that's one thing I'm gonna kick into high gear next week. Another thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna because I'm in this accountability group with two actor friends, and we promised each other that we're gonna be each other's accountability buddies and hold each other accountable to basically every day do something creative that's in line with your craft or what it is you're trying to do. And so now that I'm in that accountability group, that's helpful because it's like it's more motivating to do it versus when you're like, this can be a very lonely journey. Like even though like me and Tasha are doing this together, you can still feel isolated and alone because it's like there's no blueprint for it. There's no class you can take. There's no degree you can get and just snap into being on camera. There's like, it's literally like all these tries. You're just like fishing with dynamite. All right, I'm gonna do these different things in hopes to be able to say, okay, now I'm deserving of having my dream. Like some people create their own avenues. Some people sell a show and then they're in it. You know, some people get cast in something. Some people wait 20, 30 years before they finally get something. Some people, first thing they do, they got it. And it's like the entertainment industry is so tricky. There's no one has the right answers in terms of how you navigate it. You just have to kind of do what you can and hope for the best with focus. Yes, obviously, like you don't want to just be around here doing stuff that doesn't serve you, but I'm just saying like that's pretty much what it is. Like you want to use focused efforts to each day to get yourself to the next level, whether that's reading a book, or for me, it would be practicing monologues or writing some scenes I can do for myself. Or me and Tasha can work on some stuff. We can send our scripts out for coverage, get certain people to read them, give us notes. We can give notes because that also helps you refine yourself.
One thing that I'm trying to do is go into my new week with a renewed mindset,
right?
A new outlook on life. And I want to create and build new rituals for myself because of the fact that my old self was like super unhappy, unmotivated, didn't want to get up. But in my heart and in my mind, I wanted to get up and pray and, you know, spend some, maybe burn some incense, get some aromatherapy going on. Right? Maybe I meditate for a little bit. Right. Like get my day started before I get my day started.
Right.
And I hadn't felt, because of the time frame in which we were going to work and getting up, and I was so tired, I hadn't been able to do that. So hopefully that's something that like I get a chance to do now.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that. I've also been looking into things that I want to do that I haven't had an opportunity to do because of lack of finances.
Right.
So like, you know, anything from clothes to, you know, to treat myself to nail shop, or treating myself to the spa, or experiences that I've never had before. Right. I'm like considering those things now, and I'm saying for the both of us too, like, you know, what are the things that we want that, you know, we might have struggled for so long and couldn't make room for, or make time to think about. Right. So it's like now it's time to think about those things because our life is changing. Because technically, you're like one booking away from our life changing on a whole nother level. Yeah. So
one yes away.
So every day is about like, okay, well, what do you got? Now, these are the goals. This is what you're trying to work towards. But then it's like, okay, I've gotten to this point. with the career that I wanted, but then what's next for you, Tasha?
Right.
So now I have to start thinking in that mode, like, okay, what do I still got to be in practice of every single day? Because the way I look at life now is like, you can determine the trajectory, like, you don't have control over the trajectory of your life, but you darn sure can, like, help speed up or slow down the trajectory of accomplishing your goals by the choices that you make and by the work that you put in. And so how I feel like I got here was because I started pushing myself in one of the hardest seasons of my life where I felt weak and I felt like I was going to give up. And I pushed through that with, like, trying to pound the payment even more. I was collabing with this person, helping out over here, networking with these people. Like, whatever I was doing, trying to actually write scripts and turn them into friends and do these things because I was just trying to keep moving forward. So I feel like now it's time for me to reassess. Okay, now you're here. So what is the next level? It's mastering where you are, mastering the job that you have, but then also constantly being in a state of thinking, like, what's next for you? What's next for your life? What's next for you? And every day is another day to be hungry for it and go after it. Yes. So when I'm sitting with myself and I'm sitting here, I'm just like, ooh, I'm just sitting here. I'm not doing nothing. Right. I'm finding time to, like, just BS around. Like, right. Nah, dude. When I wake up in the morning, I'm a visual person. I gotta see on that wall. Yeah. Hey, today you got a chance to quit your old job that you were dying at for a new job that's supposed to birth your career and give you life. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was like a blessing. So don't take the blessing for granted and really go after life every day from this point on. Still, like, you still at that old job. You still got to stay hungry. Right. You know? You
have to be even more hungrier than you ever
because you ain't trying, you don't want to stay at this level forever. You want to keep going.
Really, essentially, is we just took step one. Step one was trusting and believing. Yeah. Right? Now you're in the season of new territory, right? Because we've never been in this territory, right? Yeah. But then it's like leveling up. Step two is like, okay, now that this is what you decided, now get to work. And then after that, it's just be patient and continue to work and trust that it's going to work out, and build and then live life too. Like, living life is important as well. Like, I want to give a quick shout out to my daughter Amaris because, like, we just looked at her report card and this was the first time, and I don't mean anything by this, but this was the first time I ever looked at Amaris's report card and I could smile. And it was because she did exceptionally well. Yes. And it was all her. Like, it wasn't like she had to, like, have a tremendous amount of help. It was like she finally reached that point where, okay, she got it. Like, she'll ask you for help if she needs it, but for the most part, every day it's like, oh, I already did my homework. Oh, I already did my you know how kids are. Oh, I already did my homework. I don't have no homework. Oh, I did it after school. I'm like, all right, we gonna see. You know what I'm saying?
But she was doing it.
She was doing it. And so I looked at her report card and I was like, oh, okay. Now, I could see a little bit of hate coming from our oldest daughter because she's used to being the star, but
it's that season.
It's that season. Like, the tides are turning a little bit in the household. Like, Amaris is kind of rising in the ranks. She's finding herself. Her personality is flourishing. She's comfortable in her own skin. And
Tanaya's at that age where she's
transitioning into a teenager. She has all these emotions
and she's still trying to find herself.
Yeah, she's still trying to find herself, and it's crazy we got to do this twice. Because to think about doing it again is nuts. I mean, but
I'm so young.
But yeah, so it's like I'll just say cheers to a new chapter, a new beginning, balance, consistency, dreams, faith, manifesting. We are manifesting this one competition. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to say what it is, but I feel like we definitely are gonna do something in it. I feel like something is telling me that when we entered a writing competition to possibly see if we could get help with our show. I feel like we're gonna win it. I'm gonna just say that.
Oh, you gonna put your?
I'm gonna just say that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Whatever. So what? But I feel like we're gonna win.
We winning that competition,
and
y'all.
When we get the results, we're gonna post them here on the channel. You guys will be the first to know. We ain't gonna tell nobody but y'all. Y'all gonna know first, and then we're gonna celebrate together. So with that being said, I mean, I'm pretty much done. You got anything else to say?
Nope.
Well, we've been forgetting to like let everybody know where to find us. So first of all, what is it? We want to say if you enjoy our podcast, like, comment down below, subscribe, share, tag somebody, do whatever you got to do to let people know about us. We appreciate you because without you guys, we are wasting our time. Even though we enjoy talking. And enjoy
share, subscribe.
Subscribe. Remember,
share, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button.
LSS.
Share the link to a friend. Drop it in the group chat.
Yes.
Anywho.
And then on Instagram, you can find us at another.black.podcast. Our individual pages are, mine's is Joel Armstead. Tasha, what's yours?
Tasha did it.
So you can find us on Instagram like that. We don't have a Twitter, Facebook.
I'm getting all this stuff. It's just been slow.
I don't really use
Facebook.
Facebook.
We millennials, man. It's kind of hard.
That's how y'all can get at us. Thank you guys, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Peace.